So guys, welcome to this unboxing. I purchased this ant nest Formicarium from Aliexpress. It arrived here in Hong Kong in 3 days. So ordered on Monday and on Wednesday it arrived. So very quick. I guess depending on where you live, might take a bit longer. But yeah, I was a bit surprised to get this so soon. I don't really have a need for it right now, but I actually thought I'd order it now and maybe wait, 2-3 weeks for the small colony that I have to grow a little bit bigger before I would move in. But anyways, it's good that it arrived first. Something to play with, I guess. So yeah, this is the unboxing. You'll see me open it from the very beginning. So this literally just arrived half an hour ago. Got the kids out the door, and now getting to play. So let's get into it. So this is my first experience with, not necessarily purchased from AliExpress. I bought a few things from there, but basically, mass-produced goods coming from China. I've had really good experiences with AliExpress so far. But this is my first experience with anything, ant or insect related. So looks packaged pretty well. There's no damage to the box. So we'll just take it straight out. And this is what's arrived. And here we have it. Let's get some tape. I don't have too much experience with anything ant related. I literally only got into, I guess, this hobby probably like not even a month ago, and just took a deep dive, watching videos, reading up. And here in Hong Kong, there's an insect vendor over in a suburb called Prince Edward, and I've actually purchased it from him a few times for my mantis, which is what kind of got me into insects in general. And he sells a lot of other exotic insects like lizards, scorpions, spiders, of course mantis, and obviously he's at the back. He actually had some ants, and I didn't really know anything about ants, so I wasn't really interested. It was only until someone was asking about, I think it was just asking about insects in general, and then I actually recommended this vendor to them, and she went out there and she ended up buying ants, and she told me that she bought some ants, and I was really got me curious, and so later on that day I decided to head down and got my first queen, and then started doing a lot of research. So this is what I purchased. It's I think it's like a concrete based porous material, Formicarium, however you pronounce it, which looks pretty good. So I thought I'd just take a stab in and give it a go. This one cost, here in Hong Kong, about 130, 140 Hong Kong dollars. From memory, it was about, around 20, less than 20, I think it was like 16 or 17 US. So it's not too bad. Once again, I don't have too much experience with purchasing ant-related paraphernalia, and so it seemed okay price-wise. So I just took a stab. So this is what's arrived. So this would be the base, laser cut acrylic with magnets pre-installed. It's a bit of a mess. You can see that's creating a little bit of dust there. That's okay. We'll clean that a bit later. Looks pretty good. That's the base. So this is actually where, I think, this is where, yeah, this is the way it goes up. So this is actually where the hydration port will sit on top. The ant nest will be here, and this is kind of the mini outward. Sit up top there. So that's pretty cool. This is oh, here it is. Ooh, okay. So this is the ant nest itself. It's a little bit messy, a bit dirty, but I can probably wipe that down later, maybe off camera. You can see the hydration ports there, and that's filled by this little port through here. I chose the I chose the plain material. I just felt like it would give me the best viewing experience. There was one that was actually sanded as well, but I just opted for this one just as a first purchase. Thought be on the safe side, just go get something basic. And some kind of porous material there. Looks pretty good. This would be, what's this one here? This would be the acrylic lid and red shade. Excuse me here. So everything is obviously cut and they don't peel anything else, so you get to go through the drawers of that yourself. So we've got actually it looks like a glass plate. That's pretty cool. A glass plate. It's not acrylic. It feels, yeah, it's definitely glass. And that would just sit on top there. Crap. Sit on there like that, like such. I'm not sure there's any gaps there. We can look a little bit closer a little bit later on. Seems okay. Seems like creates a pretty good seal. And you've got this acrylic plate which will sit there and sit on top like that. Just sits on top. So if you're looking at closer, looking at the seal, take this red plate off. Yeah, it seems like a decent enough seal. I guess unless you have some, you know, really small species, it might be able to push or, you know, eat its way out, but it seems like for a normal species it should be okay, I think. So that just sits on top of the base plate, like so. Yep. And then you've got the little outworld. Looks a little bit cloudy, but I suspect there's probably a coating on that as well. What's this? Ew, what's that? A bit gross. Ew, that looks kind of gross. I'm not sure what this is. It's kind of gross. I don't know what that is. Wash my hands after this. This doesn't look too nice. It looks... I'll have to peel it off camera probably, just to see what's there. It's the base material looks a bit grotty. I don't know what the heck this is. Might just be sitting in storage for a bit, so might need a good clean of some sort. But that looks kind of gross. Not sure that's mold or some sort, but that will just sit on top like that. So there's two holes. That's not so bad. And I've seen some people recommend putting a tube from the actual nest into the outworld, which will ensure actually that ants can't escape this little gap here. So just a little pipe from here all the way into this one here, and that will basically create a seal between the nest itself and the little outworld. So it goes there. Looks like the lid is cut like this. Just needs a little bit of screwing over. How does that go? Just sit like that basically, and that gives you a little bit of ventilation through these gaps here, and like a mini feeding port through there. That will just basically sit on top. I won't put this one on top there. That should just fit exactly there, and that will just sit on top there like that. Gives you the little screws and stuff like that. So I'll probably do all this off camera. Clean up the table a little bit, take off all the acrylic cover, and then I'll come back to you in a little while. Oh, it also comes with some plastic tubes. That's really cool. Okay, so that means I don't have to get anything there. So a little plastic tube just in between the entrance and the outward. The actual outward container itself has so grotty. It's just really dirty. Has two ports basically. So I guess this is cool. You could probably get two of these and maybe combine them, so you can have two little outworlds. And but it also has those little covers, which I guess you could just cover it, seal it up if you don't want to use that. So I'll give my hands a bit of a clean and come back to you hopefully with a better setup. And I'm going to examine this up a little bit closer. It's hard to do with the camera in my way, but You can kind of see it's a bit grimy and stuff. I don't want to touch it. But see what this material is, because it looks kind of gross. Not really sure. See you soon. Okay, so welcome back. Took about 20 minutes to remove all the backing on the acrylic, but this is what you get after you've done all that. Very, very easy to put together. Just 5 screws and some washers to hold the 2 pieces of acrylic together to form the lid. Everything else is comes basically pre-assembled, and you just need to remove off the clear backing of the acrylic. So overall, it's pretty much as I expected in terms of what was on the ad and what I was looking for. Now, when you saw that I originally unboxed it, the Outworld had a weird layer of grime or muck on it. There was a suspect piece of material left in the box. Still not really sure about that. I might send a message to the seller and see what he has to say about that. Whether I did try to just quickly rinse off some of the grime, and this is the result. It's obviously a porous type of material, so it does hold moisture. So obviously I took a little bit of the sand off when I had to scrub off the grime, but this is the end result. I'm not sure whether I would use this or not, but for the purpose of this review, this is what we got. So the lid itself is pretty basic, just 2 pieces of acrylic, ventilation hole, and a kind of like a feeding hole, I guess, if you don't want to take off the lid. But the screws add a little bit of extra weight to help keep it down. In terms of the seal, it looks like it's not too bad. I'm not a expert ant keeper by any means, so I think maybe a layer of escape-proof material on the edges might be warranted, but otherwise it seems okay. The acrylic at the moment seems pretty good. There's probably really fine gap if I was to say anything like that, but it is what it is. It's an acrylic piece, obviously handmade, hand put together. There's going to be some Q&A issues, and obviously with weather changing here in Hong Kong, it's actually quite humid, so it might actually impact the ability for this to actually retain its shape for long term. But otherwise, from a design point, I think it's really good. Just the right size for a small colony. So I've put a seal on one side. Eventually I'll put a tube through here that goes into this side here, into the actual Formicarium itself. But yeah, overall from a design point of view, I think it's really good. So this is the acrylic shield. The actual nest itself is actually quite compact, and you really could just, if you don't like the Outworld or you don't necessarily need this for your colony, you can just run with this little compact little nest here. I think that is actually itself quite cool, quite a little cute little design. The reason why I chose this particular design, I did some research. I'm actually from Australia, so a lot of my research was from the Australian sellers, and so Ants Australia has a few different nests, acrylic and a material called Whitong, which is like another porous kind of building material that they've carved out and laser cut living space for the ants. And I was leaning towards the Whitong, but I think from a form factor point of view, I didn't really like the fact that the material wasn't as durable, and just from a aesthetic point of view, I thought it was a bit of a compromise. And so when I went looking for alternatives, I came across, actually just decided to check on Aliexpress. I didn't even think that there would be anything, but I just thought, just punch in, ants nest or ants home, and a bunch of things came up. It's the typical all acrylic design, which I didn't really like. Ants Australia sells something like that. And then I came across this one, and from a size point of view, it's probably perfect for like a founding colony. Gives them enough space to choose to go for a humid area or other space here. And I think it's a decent size. So my colony, my 2 queens at the moment are in test tubes, between 4 to 6 helpers. So I'm not sure whether I'll move them into something like this just yet, but basically I want to be prepared. And so this was the kind of hybrid that I thought I liked the idea of. So something that was a little bit more natural, so having not necessarily just acrylic for the ants to live on, something a bit more natural, I guess. And so this is what I thought would be a good idea. And it's about 1 centimeter in depth. So yeah, so from a design point of view, it's pretty cool. I like the fact that acrylic is still used, so you can laser cut acrylic and give the aesthetic of acrylic, but then the actual living space itself is actually something a bit more natural. Hydration ports here. It's good that I think you can mix that in. And so yeah, so this is basically it. I will message the seller just to query on if I can either get an exchange or get something else, or get just this portion. I'm not a big fan of trying to rip off sellers or anything like that. Just if I could get another copy of this one that's not so grimy, that would be ideal. But it's not the biggest deal or anything. I did a bit of clean. Maybe I'll clean it again. It's just really good to see the porous material react to the water, and you can actually see that it actually retains the moisture. Yeah, so overall, my experiences are quite positive so far. Now I know that because I'm in Hong Kong, my experience is going to be a lot better than some other people who live, in Australia, the US, the UK. Like I said, shipping was 3 days. I think the price I paid was $16, including shipping. So pretty cheap. And to get here in 3 days is pretty good. And like I said, from a design point of view, I felt like this is a good hybrid. I've got 2 kids. Kids want to actually see the ants, and having them in test tubes hidden away in the dark is not the ideal way for them to learn. Obviously, they should learn some patience, but kids lose attention pretty quickly. So having something that maybe the ants could move in a little bit earlier than planned, but gives the kids a chance to view them and show interest and interact with them. Obviously, I won't encourage them to hold it and flip it, because this chamber itself actually has water, and that can actually spill if if it's too full, or you tip it too, like kids just tipping on the side because they want to see. So obviously I'll try to teach them that, and they'll learn. But just having something that they can actually see a little bit better than just in a test tube that's hidden away. The test tubes roll around. This one's probably, I think, safer for kids potentially. I know some species of ants can't see red, so hopefully that's something that means I don't have to keep them in the complete dark, and that's sufficient to keep the ants feeling safe. But yeah, overall, I think from a design point of view, I think it ticks all the boxes. This particular one from Aliexpress, overall, pretty good. Like I said, there was a bit of suspect material inside the outworld, but I'll query that with this seller, and if there's any resolution to that, I'll obviously update the video. But in terms of what it is for the price, I think it's pretty cool. Comparatively, some of the other stuff in Australia was probably on par with very similar prices, maybe a little bit more expensive, but from what this gives, I think it's quite good. Is it going to be for everyone? Probably not for every single species. Obviously, you're going to check to see which species would be suitable for this, but I think design-wise and size-wise, it's perfect. Perfect for a small apartment, perfect for small species, and for kids to have a little bit of play, learn to feed and interact with the ants a little bit more. So yeah, overall, very good experience so far. If there's any updates to this, I'll certainly create a new video and let you know. When it's time to actually move the ants in, I'll probably create another video on that one and see whether the ants actually adapt to this type of environment in this early stage, and I'll create separate videos for that as well. So thanks for watching, and if there's any other updates on this particular ant nest, I'll certainly put updates. Maybe in a few months time I'll give you an update on how it's going, but from all accounts it looks pretty good. The other thing was, because there's the water's under here, I've seen people sometimes put like a lighting source under here. Not sure the ants would appreciate that, but I thought it was pretty cool that you can actually see, either just visually checking the water, or maybe putting some glowing material here to kind of create some a little bit of light inside there. But other than that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.